Have you ever wondered why no one is buying from you? What's the reason why you can create something, you can offer something that you believe has a lot of value, and yet still you can't quite get the sale? Well, I am here on Note to Self with you, a show where we use AI in order to make money online. We want to expedite that process. And in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you the secret to getting individuals to begin buying from you. And it's not necessarily conventional, okay? But rest assured that by the end of the video, you will have all the information you need to start making those sales. However, if you don't have the time, you can scroll through our next catalog of videos to find just exactly what you need. So I'm going to leave this up to five things that you can really be aware of, and then five more things that you can actually use in order to, again, getting those sales. So the first five things are relatively simple. But the number one thing, I want to give it to you straight. You may not match your product. Okay. So if you are trying to sell financial advice application, if you are trying to sell finance information, right? If you're trying to sell these kinds of things, you need to have a certain look, a certain je ne sais quoi, as they say, right? Certain qualities. Okay. And you potentially do not have it. And it can be as minor as your actual appearance. So if you don't look rich, if you don't look intelligent, if you don't sound smart, it's going to be difficult for you to sell those kinds of items. Okay? That's number one. Number two, you may be marketing to the wrong market. The differing markets are actually platform dependent, meaning that on certain platforms, it's easier to sell one kind of thing than it is to sell that same kind of thing on another platform. Okay. $5, $10, $20 items are relatively more easy to sell on something like a TikTok or a Instagram than they are to sell on YouTube, especially because YouTube has a tendency to make it difficult for you to actually be able to accumulate your community, right? To grow your community, to establish your audience. Okay. It takes a little while. That was number two. Number three, literally you aren't posting enough. Doesn't matter what platform you're on. If there isn't enough content that you have to overpower the onslaught of content that's already available, then you're always getting drowned by the new content being created with those same people who are already well established, right? So you're just getting pressed down in the algorithm and you're not really able to come up. So I believe that was number three. Number four, besides the fact that you're just maybe not the right person, you don't have the look, and your different platforms have different things within them. And of course, besides the fact that you just haven't posted enough, your content doesn't yet show the value in it. Okay. What I mean by that is whatever you've created, whatever you've built, whatever you're showcasing, you're showing it incorrectly. There are specific aspects of your product that you think are great, are fabulous, but there's others that when they see that, they're not as enamored as you are. They're not as directly tied to or connected to that specific product with that specific value. So you may need to figure out a way to figure out what is the actual best aspect of your product that people actually care about. And last but most certainly not least, number five, again, I can't stress this enough. You probably don't match your product. And what I mean by that is you basically should probably be changing your product to better fit who you actually are. And not only who you actually are, not what you want to do, but what do people perceive you as? What would people looking at you think that you actually can do? Okay, so we're going to get now into the aspects or the elements where what you should actually do. Okay, I said this was supposed to be five things, but there could be more, there could be less. Okay, the number one thing that you should do is potentially pivot. I'm going to tell you a brief story. There was once an individual who used to be online teaching you how to make money from the comfort of your home, online. Showcase his videos, I'll showcase his landing page, but he touted himself as a lazy stoner. Okay, that's how he touted himself, and that's how he sold his products. Okay, and he, as a lazy person, who I believe this really is what he was, he sold it as his platform, like his landing page, the amount of videos he had, the topics that he chose, all of it was the bare minimum essentials for his market. Bare minimum essentials. Okay. So even in the way that he did his work, that he showcased his work, it looked like anybody can do it. Why? Well, because if lazy stoner can do it, you most certainly can do it. So I'm going to show you the content coming up really quickly, and then we'll continue with the next element.
Will tell you that viral marketing is this super hard thing that all just boils down to getting really, really lucky. But today I'm going to prove to you that that is total bullshit. In fact, in this short video, I'm going to show you three dead simple ways that you can niche. So if I have a cannabis site and I want to find cannabis news stories, I just search for cannabis. Then you want to go through the stories and find one that has an eye-catching headline, but most importantly, a ton of shares. Most news sites will show you the amount of shares that article has got. So look for a story that's got thousands of shares across the various social networks.
All right. So as you can see from that information, from those videos, again, it was relatively rudimentary, and this is the more up-to-date version of content. He actually had an older version of content where he was focusing on specific elements, specific aspects that was even more simplistic. Okay. So maybe you can learn from him. I'll leave links in the description to his kind of content, but ultimately you may need to pivot what it is that you are selling. Number two, though, remember he touted himself as a lazy stoner. Okay. And when you saw him with the sweatshirt, that to you made him appear as though he was a lazy lazy stoner, right? That's what it looked like. And so again, people who grabbed his products, who took his advice, were taking his advice on the premise that he really is a lazy stoner. Okay, so maybe you can change the perception of yourself by naming yourself or by advertising your products as made by a lazy stoner, made by a donut junkie, made by, something like that, right? If look at yourself in the mirror, ask people all around, when they look at you, what do they see? Write these down. Or when they look at you, what do they who do they think you are? What do they think you are? Actually, now that I think about it, my wife keeps saying I look like a manager. So I should probably take that into consideration. I'm getting messages. But anyway, let me check this really quickly. Give me a moment. All right. So another thing that you can do to get more sales is you have to pay to play. Okay. It really is that simple. Number one, make sure that your product is worth enough to justify how much it costs to advertise. So what I would suggest is doing research on the specific platforms that like which one sells the most. And in fact, matter of fact, for you guys, I'll list that in my description. And I'll also place it somewhere in the video. Right, somewhere in the video. So that way you don't have to do all the work yourself. You get a little bit of assistance, but you got to know, like I was telling you before, which platform can sell which items the best and the easiest. Okay. And then you have to set up a system to where you're paying for a little bit of advertisement. I know that YouTube, okay, I know YouTube goes as low as $10. I know Instagram can go as low as $10 a week. Right. I'm not talking about a month. I'm talking about a week. Now, maybe it might be a day, but a day can actually get you a nice amount of views, and a day can really give you enough data. If the item doesn't sell one thing after people have seen it 1,000 times, it's probably not a good item. You need to pivot over to another item, or you need to pivot over to another advertiser, like another person in the video. Right. If you're showing people in the video, another person or a different hand model can change the entire thing. Okay. So you definitely want to pay to play. It helps expedite the money making process fast. And I'm talking as low as $10. Me personally, I wouldn't go over $100, really, depending on the product. Again, I'm going to put that information. With that being said, the next thing is, as I was hinting to, you may need to change the person. It may not be you. Okay, it may not be you that can make the sale. Okay, it just is what it is. I know how much you want your face to be the face of whatever cool thing you have made, but it just might not be it. So the solution for that is to actually take the time and create a person. Now, me personally, I don't want you to be AI dependent. Okay. Yes, we here are trying to get the moolah, the cheddar, the greenbacks, the Sacagaweas, the Benjamins, the Franklins, the Washingtons, the Rupee, the Sapphire, the Gold, no Johto. But we're trying to get the money, right? And so that's why we don't want to be AI dependent, because as you become more AI dependent, this gives them the leverage to raise their prices, thus eventually taking your whole profit margin. So that's not what we want to do. We don't want to allow them that luxury. Okay. What we want to do instead is create some digital avatars and then have me or someone else process those digital avatars into Vroid avatars or VRM avatars that you can use in something like a Kaleidoface, or you can use something like Prism, right? Prism, it's a platform, but it's also an application. It's more of an application. But long story short, use one of these to digitally control your avatar. And anybody could potentially control your avatar. Any video could actually control your avatar. So again, you would want to do that. You want to utilize that. And that way, like I said, you're not dependent on AI, and you can have these people selling your. When it comes to creating a digital avatar, real quick, you can actually use, I'm going to have it linked in the description, perchance.org. That website is there and freely available. Use it at your own discretion. I normally use it on devices that are really, I don't have any information on that device. I don't have any files on that device. And that device doesn't normally link to my regular network. So I really don't worry about anything going on with those kinds of websites anyway. But nonetheless, you can go to that website to create a digital avatar. You can also use something like These Faces Aren't Real. So you can use These Faces Aren't Real people. You can use that, and that will allow you again to create a digital avatar of some sort. You select a face from there or create a face from there, select one of the faces and use those faces to create a ton of digital avatars. I'll show you exactly how to do that later on. Not in this video, but if this video gets enough views, I'll be doing that. Okay. So we have change who's doing it, change how they're perceived or you're perceived, change what your product is, find what platform sells your product or can sell your product, and pay to play. If you can do all of these things, rest assured I most certainly believe that you will see a drastic uptick in your sales. But if, number one, any of the information in this video is unclear, I currently am working on a product that will show you how to do all this and more, which the sign up sheet is linked in the description. Okay. I'm actually using AI research, your Google and all that jazz to put this together. So I could really use your help in just establishing just exactly what it is that you need, so I can be a little bit more accurate. And I want to make sure that this information is robust enough that it actually fixes your issues. So please leave a comment and use that link in order to sign up so that I can send it to you right away. I am Sean, your host of this here Note to Self, a show where we use AI tools to expedite the money-making process online specifically. I don't want you to have to do too many physical things. The ultimate goal is for you to be able to create products and eventually set it and forget it, or hire someone to do the work for you, right? Hire someone to actually go out and about and talk to people, or hire someone to actually do the cold calling, or hire someone to actually do the emailing and things of that nature and the scheduling. Because again, we don't want to be solely AI dependent. We want AI to assist us in doing things, but the most reliability you can get is from people, right? So you want to continue to work with people. You're going to continue to work with me, and we're going to continue to get this moolah, cheddar, greenbacks, Sacagaweas, rupees, right? Doubloons, pesos, Monero, Litecoin, Bitcoin, money. Okay. So I'll see you in the next one. And do remember that I cannot actually see you. Okay. So if you actually want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be known, use my comment section. With all that being said, have a good day.